Just ahead on American Black Journal, two legacy institutions are coming together for a celebration of music and Black history. We'll get the details on a partnership between a historically Black college and the Motown Museum. Plus, a Detroit church with ties to Motown stars celebrates a milestone anniversary. Don't go away. American Black Journal starts now.
American Black Journal is funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first.
How does diversity bring energy to us all? At DTE Energy, we believe that it's the contributions of all that build great communities. As a company, we grow stronger by welcoming the unique perspectives of everyone. As community members, we support our state's broad culture and heritage. From working closely with women and minority-owned suppliers to embracing our local cultures, DTE Energy is powering diversity. The DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public Television. Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merilite cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Throughout my whole life, I've been judged based how I look and where I'm from.
According to the status quo, I'm not supposed to be standing here.
We have given up so much of who we are because we've allowed other people to tell our stories.
About now, it's about moving forward and where we want the narrative of Black men to go.
We can do this.
One man could change the world. That one man could change the world.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Chastity Pratt-Dawsey, sitting in for Stephen Henderson. Morehouse meets Motown. That's the theme of a benefit concert in Detroit on March 14th, featuring the Morehouse College Glee Club, and the performance includes a special tribute to the Motown sound. Proceeds will benefit the Detroit Morehouse College Alumni Association and the Motown Museum Expansion Campaign. Here to tell us more about this powerful collaboration are Franklin Wilkerson, president of the Detroit Morehouse College Alumni Association, and Carl Norris, chairman of the event and head of the Michigan Morehouse Scholarship Foundation. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morehouse is in the house.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
So Morehouse and the museum get together for this concert. Talk to us about how these two organizations got together.
Sure. Well, it's a situation where we've been doing this concert for decades here in Detroit. And we wanted to do something special this year. Carl Norris and I together decided we wanted to scale the event up. So we looked for a larger venue, and that's where Second Ebenezer came into play, because Bishop Van's son, Edgar Van, is a Morehouse alum and a graduate of the college. But then we also wanted to tap into our community service initiatives. So we do a lot to support local community efforts. So the Motown Museum Expansion Initiative was a great fit.
Yeah.
Because Morehouse, the Glee Club, and Motown are both musical-oriented things that we could bring together. So as a result, we decided to support their expansion initiative, which is the largest neighborhood expansion right now going in the city of Detroit. It's about a $50 million expansion.
Oh yeah, it's going to be huge.
Yes.
There's a lot of money going into it. It's not even going to look like the same place anymore.
Yes, and so we were excited about that. And the CEO, Robin Terry, and I actually went to high school together in Southfield High. I won't give the year. But so we had a close relationship over the years, and I wanted to really support her efforts. I knew she was trying hard to do something, and so that's kind of how we brought the two legacies together.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah. Talk about this event. What are we talking about when we say Morehouse Glee Club does Motown? What's the sound like? What's the Glee Club known for?
Well, the Glee Club has a traditional sound. Well, they bring in very traditional folk songs and things of that nature. But what we decided to do this year with the Motown blend is we have a quartet. And that quartet, their job this year will be specifically to do a Motown medley during the concert. We also will be doing some more things with Motown directly after the event, where we'll have Kim Jordan performing as well.
So, I mean, only the quartet is doing the Motown stuff? I mean, how do you get a traditional Glee Club and Motown sound to blend? I mean, are we going to hear falsettos? Come on, now you got to give us a little bit.
Well, the director, Dr. David Morrow, who is a Morehouse grad himself, he's done all the arrangements. Now, I'm not a musician, nor do I play one on television.
Okay.
So I'll tell you this, I can't really answer that question. What I can tell you, though, is I have a lot of faith. We've brought this Glee Club here for years, and I have a lot of faith in those guys, and I know they're going to be put on an exciting show for everybody in the audience.
Now, you talked about this being like a community service, something that happens year after year with this Glee Club coming here. Describe some of what the money's going to go towards, how having these events here in Detroit for Morehouse helps to recruit, you know, some of the background info.
Yeah, Chastity. Right now, we all know the cost to go to college is astronomical. The cost to go to Morehouse is $47,000 a year. So clearly our biggest challenge with our young men is to help them to pay to go to Morehouse. And that's why we have a scholarship foundation that Carl is actually the head of, where we want to really raise enough money to fund students full time at Morehouse. Not just book scholarships, not just support money, but some real dollars to help drive their matriculation at Morehouse. So part of the money will go toward our scholarship fund and our student support process. The other portion will go toward Motown's renovation. And a big point on that is, a lot of times legacy organizations like ours, they don't come together in this way. This is very unique because everybody's trying to get all the dollars they can for their agenda. What we decided is, man, if we work together, we could have a scaled event where we all come out a lot better than if we were by ourselves and really make an impact that we can feel good about and that we own, right? So we're owning our own legacy in terms of supporting it. And the slogan that we have for the event is value your institutions, now support your values. If we really value the legacy of Motown, then we'll support it.
This could have been at any other venue, and I'm sure in other years it's been at other venues, and it could have been in collaboration with any other legacy institution. We have plenty of them here in Detroit, right? How is this going to help the museum? How is this going to bring attention to the big effort that's going on in the museum with bringing Morehouse Glee Club here?
Well, we believe that bringing the legacies together this way is not something that's in a vacuum. We're hoping to be the example to all other institutions and legacy institutions around Detroit and throughout the country that we need to bring those institutions together and then put on a show or put on a fundraiser where we can raise funds for both of those institutions. This is not the first time that we're going to do this, and it's definitely not the last time that we're going to do it. So our idea in terms of bringing these two things together, it really has to do with, you know, how we operate as from our cultural standpoint in terms of bringing these ideas together. Not that we have the same types of things that we're looking for, but certainly at the bottom line of it is who we are and who our culture is and what our culture is and how we bring those things together, because all of us, come from the same place when we talk about Detroiters. And we talk about Morehouse men that are from Detroit and Motown being a Detroit institution and those kinds of things. So we're very, 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 very excited about that.
Chastity, can I add?
Go ahead.
Can I add one thing real quick? A lot of people don't know about the legacy of Dr. King and Berry Gordy, which we got to touch on that. He recorded his spoken word albums on Motown's spoken word label. The I Have a Dream speech basically was recorded here in Detroit before it was given in Washington, D.C. Berry Gordy helped to fund some of Dr. King's payroll for his organization.
Dr. King, a Morehouse man?
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is a Morehouse man, the only non-elected official to have a monument on the Washington Mall. You got Jefferson, Lincoln, all these presidents, and you got this Baptist preacher with his arms folded.
So there's already that connection between Morehouse and Motown
Already
with
there.
King
Absolutely.
and the Motown connection there as well. Okay, so we need the concert details. I'm hearing 3,000 people will be there.
At least.
What? 3,000 people? Come on, give us the details.
Well,
concert. When, where? How do you get tickets?
The concert will be March 14th, this Wednesday coming. It starts at 7 o'clock. The doors open at 6 o'clock at Second Ebenezer Church in Detroit on DeQuinder and 6 Mile. We can get tickets a few different ways. Tickets are for sale at the Motown Museum.
Mm-hmm.
We have tickets for sale at Second Ebenezer Church. And if you go on our alumni site, website, Detroit Morehouse alumni.org.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a link to an Eventbrite page where you can buy tickets online.
And you better get them fast because 3,000 people are going to be mushed in there trying to hear this Glee Club. Wonderful, wonderful.
That's right.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Coming up next, a history lesson on one of Detroit's oldest black churches. But first, we're taking a look back at some of the guests on this program over the last 50 years. Here's a 1985 Detroit Black Journal interview about African Americans in corporate America.
Let me ask you, Mr. Jackson, now you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, urban affairs?
Yes, I was an urban affairs manager. Yes. I call it dead end.
Dead end.
It was a highly visible dead end. And I'm not knocking the corporation. I think they needed an urban affairs manager who could explain to them some of the things that happens in the black community. I've been retired now for 2 years, and maybe I'm becoming cynical, but I don't think so. I think we've got to look at the situation, and I think blacks and minorities, and I think we haven't talked about women yet. We've got to look at things, I think, just a little differently, and I think I'm starting to look at things differently. I'm not looking to go up a corporate ladder anymore. I'm looking at the power that the corporations have. Now, at Ford Motor Company particularly, we have dealerships. Now, I have put some black people in dealerships, and even though it's a Ford Motor Company dealership, it is privately owned. Now, when they become a successful automobile dealer, such as, and I hate to mention names, but say Nate Conyers in the city of Detroit, he will leave that dealership when he dies to his kids. You see, his kids have a business. Now, in addition to that, each one of those dealerships have on the average about 55 employees. There is an opportunity for Mr. Conyers to hire up to 55 black people, you see. And to me, that looks like we're taking care of ourselves. We're not depending on anybody else to do that. Now, I think that if this happens, not only in dealerships, if it happens in the, grocery stores, for instance, something that you own, now, or a business, be it an electrical shop, you know, and things like that, so that you can pass that on to your kids, you see, and they have something they do not have to depend on anybody.
Throughout Detroit's history, African-American churches have served as a foundation for neighborhoods. Many were created during the Great Migration when millions of Southern blacks moved to churches and cities in the North. St. Stephen AME Church was founded in 1918 to give African Americans who settled in Detroit's West Side a place to worship. Under the volunteer leadership of Reverend Thomas White, the church was built on the corner of Stanford and Cobb. Today, 100 years later, it's still serving the community from that same location. Joining me now from St. Stephen are Doreen Odom from the Centennial Marketing Committee and Amita Schuler, Chair of the Historical Remembrance Committee. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's talk about this church. And I will be remiss if I didn't say St. Stephen AME is now led by Pastor Reverend Darrell Williams, right?
That is correct.
Right. But it hasn't always been that way. Back in 1917, it was small. It was moving from house to house. It was in a barbershop. It was in a tent. And then it landed where it is now. You have gone to this, your sisters.
Yes.
Absolutely. Sisters.
Yes. Yes.
And my sorors.
Yes, of course.
You have gone to this church your whole life. Tell me about its founding, its history, why we should celebrate it 100 years later.
The beautiful thing about St. Stephen being located on the west side is that it has been a church where people could come to be filled spiritually as well as physically. With that, we've supported the community throughout the 100 years with our food pantry, with our gym that has been open and still is open to children at any time. A child may be walking down the street and come to the church when it's open and ask to play in the gym. And they're of course allowed to do that because that is an outlet that is so needed by that child. We also have partnered with the schools in our area. For example, Sampson Weber School. We have partnered with them with several organizations from our church, our Missionary Society, Emily E. Vernon Missionary Society. We supplied them with uniforms and whatever needs that they had. Another group in our church was under the auspices of Reverend Amani Henry. And they also supplied our church and Sampson with school supplies and other things that were so needed.
Now see, that's just good missionary church work, right?
Yes.
But however, people who know that this church is known for a few people and a few performances and a few famous things. Tell us, Doreen, what are some of the more famous things that this church is known for that make it stand out from others?
Well, what makes it stand out for others is that if you look at the AME Church, the AME Church has always been a church that embraced the community, from our educational institutions that we founded years ago, such as Morris Brown College, etc. And so when you move forward, you get to a place where we're in the city of Detroit, and we are in a place where the up and coming are coming, where the African Americans moved to from the Black Bottom. They settled on the west side. So with that came a lot of needs. And so when you look at it was like 1959, 1960, it's when they built this community center. It has a gym. It has it was a place where students could go, or you could go, and feel safe. So we had roller skating. We had dances.
Wait. In the church?
In the gym.
Roller
the
skating.
gym is located in the Spivey Community Center. Okay. So they have roller skating parties on Friday. It was the real recreation center, similar to what we have today, you know, recreation centers in the neighborhood. So you had roller skating, dances for the youth, music lessons, basketball. So with those dances gave those youth an opportunity to perform. So you had the Temptations. That's where
Temptations.
That's where they had their first performances. If you ever see the film, they mention St. Stephen, AME, or the Spivey Center. Barry Gordon used to bring his daughter there for music lessons. So the church has always been a mecca for our youth.
The church was on television, correct? Part of that Temptations
mini-series. Yes, in the movie.
There was some filming there. It was supposed to be the place where Barry Gordy
they
met
didn't get a chance to
Melvin.
do the filming there, but there was reference to the church.
Okay, it was reference to the church.
Yes.
And one thing I have to say about skating, there's so many people that don't necessarily attend St. Stephen or have ever attended St. Stephen, but we're known throughout the city of Detroit for skating. You can walk up to someone and get into a conversation with them, and you mention that you're from St. Stephen, and they will say to you, oh yeah, I used to skate there years ago, and they start reminiscing about skating in our gym.
So there's going to be some 100th anniversary events, obviously, about St. Stephen, which will include roller skating.
A roller skating party
in the
next week on the 17th.
Yes.
What's ironic about that? That event is on Saturday the 17th. And the irony of this event is that the person who came to our church he was like our first assistant pastor. And his responsibility was to make sure that that Spivey Community Center actually functioned and it met the needs of the community. So on Saturday, they're having a skating party. And those folks, I wasn't really one of those who got a chance to skate in the gym, but they're about in their 70s now. So this would be a very interesting event because I'm going to sit on the sidelines and watch. But so that's on Saturday at the church from 6 to 9 o'clock.
Okay.
It's $5 admission. Bring your own skates.
Bring your own skates.
The waiver. Okay.
Gotcha.
Then the very next day, Reverend Huggins, presiding Harold C. Huggins, will be honored as a bridge builder.
And Mita, talk about that. Reverend, he's now an elder, Harold Huggins.
He is actually presiding elder Harold C. Huggins,
and he
emeritus.
was sort of in charge of the center during its heyday. Describe his legacy and what he brought and why he's getting this bridge builder recognition.
The beauty of presiding elder Harold C. Huggins is that when he came to St. Stephen, he was a young man, and he was responsible for ministering to the youth. We used to have a youth church, and he was our youth pastor. He was very involved in the administration of the Charles S. Spivey Community Center, which was for the youth as well as adults. And a lot of the people that will be coming to the skating party, they developed a great love for him because of his love for people. And with that, he gave so much service, not only to St. Stephen and not only to the AME Church, but to the community. And biannually, we have a program that is called the Bridge Builders Program, where we honor persons from our congregation that have left an indelible mark with regard to service at our church and the community. We chose to honor him as our centennial pastor because he is the founder and visionary for the Historical Remembrance Committee.
Gotcha.
And he has done so much to help people in the community. He also will be celebrating his 90th birthday.
90th birthday.
Yes.
And if my memory serves me correct, he's been married for 71 years.
Yeah.
And in this community. And he's 90 years old.
Yeah.
And that's some legacy. Doreen, talk about, tell me about why you think it's important to celebrate this and bring other people from other neighborhoods in. I mean, Detroit is evolving. There are 4,000 churches in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
I mean, 4,000 churches is probably more churches than party stores and gas stations, right? So there are churches with legacies and have celebrations all the time. Why is it important to celebrate and pass on the legacy of this church?
It's important that we celebrate. We've been there 100 years. A lot of churches left that neighborhood. Years ago, there was a strong fellowship with St. Stephen, Hartford, and Tabernacle, and numerous other churches. There was a church on every corner. And now St. Stephen and Tabernacle remain. So, since we've been there, we're still a beacon of light. And we still provide services. We still provide services for our youth. And we want others to know that we still teach the word, that we still provide services for youth to senior citizens, and that we need to celebrate this legacy so we can continue this legacy. There's a saying that you cannot go anywhere without knowing your past, so you understand where you're going. So that is why we need to celebrate. And so we started in December, and we'll end in December 2018.
And I'm going to assume that this being a 100-year celebration, you want to pass on a legacy, that there's going to be kids there, people of all ages, talking about the good old days, the temptations, and skating. Because it is St. Stephen AME.
We're very excited.
Thank you.
I would just like to add to what Doreen said.
Quickly, because we got to go.
Okay. And that if you know your past, you will have a vision for the future.
There you go.
And that is what our pastor, Reverend Darrell Williams, will bring.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. That is our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information on all of our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org, and you can always connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next time.
As American Black Journal looks ahead at the next 50 years, we want to hear from you, the viewers. Tell us what you think of this program and what you'd like to see on future episodes. Visit AmericanBlackJournal.org to take a quick survey and share your opinion. Thank you.